Big news coming out of Denver. Ashton Genty might slip past the Raiders at number 6, and there's even talk he could fall beyond the Cowboys. For the Broncos, landing him is becoming more realistic by the day as quarterback prospects continue to climb draft boards. There's a lot to unpack. First, there's buzz growing around the idea that Bo Nix might actually be a more complete quarterback than Caleb Williams, on and off the field. That alone is worth a discussion. On top of that, Denver's front office pulled off what might be the best deal of the decade by locking down cornerback Pat Surtain II for the next 3 years. Elite talent secured. Now, back to Genty. He recently sat down for an interview where he lit up when the Broncos were mentioned. He confirmed that Denver and Las Vegas have shown the most interest in him throughout the draft process. That kind of mutual energy is hard to ignore. Adding fuel to the fire, NFL insider Dane Brugler pointed out something fans might have missed. Genty and wide receiver Marvin Mims were high school teammates. Just imagine the chaos that duo caused back then. Genty pounding the rock and Mims burning defenses deep and on returns. And now there's growing speculation they could be reunited in Denver. Look, it's true. Drafting a running back early has become less common in today's NFL. Teams often find gems later in the draft or even among undrafted players. We've seen stars like Alvin Kamara go in the 3rd round, and last season Bucky Irving emerged as a key piece for the Buccaneers after being picked later. But here's the thing. If you're a team that truly believes you're just one elite running back away from making a deep playoff run, you don't hesitate. You draft Ashton Genty. Right now, the Broncos might be the only team in the top 20 who can make that claim with a straight face. The Raiders, they've got way more holes to fill. The Chargers, they could use a running back, but they also need help at tight end, on defense, and across the offensive line. For Denver, it's all lining up. And if things keep trending this way, Genty in orange and blue might not just be a dream, it could be a real possibility. Kay Adams also sat down with Ohio State running back Quinshon Judkins, who shared just how strong his connection is with new Raiders offensive coordinator Chip Kelly, who of course has deep ties to the college game and Ohio State system. Naturally, Raiders fans are loving it. Meanwhile, there's growing buzz around the idea that Las Vegas might be eyeing quarterback Shader Sanders with the number 6 overall pick. According to Tom Pelissero, a well-connected NFL insider, the Raiders are seriously considering Sanders at that spot. That lines up with Judkins' comments, as he mentioned he's been in regular talks with the team. The connection between Kelly, Ohio State backs, and Vegas seems to be heating up fast. Here's where things get exciting for Denver. If the Raiders go with a quarterback at number 6, Ashton Genty could fall even further in the draft. And with the Carolina Panthers reportedly open to dealing the number 8 pick, a move from number 20 to number 8 suddenly feels doable. It's not like trying to jump into the top 5 anymore. It's within reach. Giving up a second rounder to make that move? Absolutely worth it if it means securing Genty. And honestly, he's one of the few prospects in this class I'd say that about. There's even more reason to believe elite talent could slide in this year's draft. The New York Giants have been working out multiple quarterbacks, none of whom are Cam Ward. That alone is telling. Just a few months ago, the narrative was that we'd only see 1, maybe 2 quarterbacks go in the first round. Now, we could see 4. Jalen Milroe, for example, is attending the NFL draft in person, clearly expecting to be taken early. You don't show up just to sit there and wait all night unless you're confident. Then there's Tyler Shaw, another name suddenly rising up draft boards. Scouts and analysts are calling him the Bo Nix of this class, a possible steal who's flying under the radar. Remember last year? Bo Nix went 12th overall after 6 quarterbacks were already taken. That kind of run at the position means serious talent can fall, just like we're seeing shape up this year. And for the Broncos, this is ideal. The more quarterbacks that go early, the better the odds Genty slips right into striking range. The opportunity is real, and the draft board is starting to fall perfectly into place. Now, if Ashton Genty does slip past the Raiders, many believe the Cowboys will be ready to pounce, and it makes sense. Dallas has met with more running backs than any other team during the pre-draft process. They've held meetings with 11 different backs through both private sessions and official visits at the NFL Combine. But here's the thing. The Cowboys are dealing with much bigger issues. They're still figuring out what to do with Micah Parsons' future contract, and there are serious questions about whether Dak Prescott is their long-term guy. This is a team with holes all over the roster, so while they might like Genty, running back might not be their top priority, and that's a win for Denver. The Broncos, for their part, are also among the top 5 teams in terms of running backs they've scouted. That tells us they're definitely exploring the position, but here's where we should have confidence. Sean Payton isn't going to panic and reach for a running back just because the need exists. That would be a worst-case scenario. If Genty isn't within reach, Payton will focus on value. Let's say he ends up selecting someone like Payton out of Virginia Tech, or one of the speedy backs from Tennessee at number 20, and fans instantly react with, "That guy was graded as a third-round pick." Sound familiar? Remember the Bo Nix pick? National media called it a reach, but Payton saw the potential and stuck to his board. That kind of conviction matters. Whoever Denver picks, you can bet Payton is going to be fully bought in, and that means a lot. Looking at the Broncos' top 30 visits gives us even more insight. A huge chunk of those visits have been with running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends, especially ones with elite speed. Analyst Mike Kay pointed out that Denver met with both the fastest receiver and the fastest corner at the combine, clocking in with 4.28 and 4.29 40-yard dash times. That includes names like Matthew Golden, blazing fast receiver, and even Jaden Blue, who reportedly ran a 4.25. Clearly, the Broncos are prioritizing speed. That tracks with what they'll need to keep up with teams like Kansas City, who dominate with explosive playmakers. And here's something interesting. Of all the players Denver met with last year on top 30 visits, the only one they ended up drafting was Bo Nix. So don't be surprised if Payton is keeping his real targets close to the chest. While other teams are out here playing checkers, he's playing full-on chess. Sean Payton seems to be using these top 30 visits not just to scout players directly, but to gather intel, digging deeper into each position group and understanding how prospects stack up across the board. While we can't read too much into the individual names, the positions Denver is targeting tell a clear story. It's all about running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends. That says a lot about where the Broncos are looking to reload. Now let's talk about the overall shape of this draft class. It's top-heavy, loaded with elite talent at the top. But once you get past those first 10 to 15 picks, things start to level off. There are plenty of solid players, but not many who will have fans jumping out of their seats on draft night. To put it in perspective, only 17 players have accepted invites to attend the NFL Draft in Green Bay this year. That's a pretty small group, and Cody Rourke from Locked On Broncos pointed out how rare that is. It's a sign that even teams aren't totally sure who's going where after the top 10. There's a lot of buzz around where Jalen Milroe will land and just how long he might be on the board. And then there's the wild situation unfolding in Miami. For weeks there were rumors that the Dolphins were preparing for a major trade, with early speculation pointing to Tyreek Hill. That still might happen, but his recent off-field issues and a looming June 1st cap-related deadline have complicated things. Turns out the trade chatter may have actually been about someone else entirely, a player who just got paid more than Pat Surtain too, right after Surtain inked his deal. And honestly, Dolphins fans have to be furious. This guy's become more of a distraction than a difference maker, and now he's looking for a way out. That kind of dysfunction could really shake things up in Miami. There are already whispers linking him to the Raiders, one of the few teams that wouldn't hit him with state income tax. But if that move happens, good. Because not only is he overpaid and aging, he's no longer the kind of impact player who shifts a franchise's direction. In fact, he'd likely tie up cap space and limit what Vegas can do long term. From a Broncos standpoint, it's a double win. The Raiders potentially take on a declining contract, and the Dolphins lose a big-name piece right as Denver is fighting for a playoff spot. That's the kind of AFC shakeup we'll take any day. If some of these teams underperform like they did last season, things could shake up fast. And here's something to keep an eye on. There's so much hype surrounding quarterbacks, offensive linemen, and top defensive players like Abdul Carter that several analysts are now predicting no wide receivers will be taken in the first 15 picks. That's wild, especially in a class that has some serious receiving talent. Now, personally, I've said before, wide receiver isn't where I think Denver needs to focus. The Broncos' receiving core is in a good spot. But this kind of draft scenario opens up a golden opportunity. If all those top receivers like Luther Burden, Matthew Golden, and Tetairoa McMillan are still on the board at 15, Teams looking to move up could be lining up to make a deal. Denver, sitting at pick number 20, could absolutely trade back and still land their guy and pick up an extra second rounder. That's a win-win. It's the kind of smart move Sean Payton has made throughout his career. Bottom line, the Broncos are just a running back away, and the analytics are backing it up. One stat that keeps popping up, and it's worth talking about, is how well Bo Nix protected the football as a rookie. Only 1.8% of his plays were considered turnover-worthy last season. That ranked him as the fourth best quarterback in the league in that category. As a rookie, that's not just promising, it's the kind of number you build around. It's exactly why Denver can confidently say, we're one elite running back away from making noise in the postseason. Meanwhile, all this talk about generational talent is starting to sound familiar. Remember last year, everyone thought Denver had no shot at Caleb Williams, the so-called can't-miss number first overall pick. But now, more and more stories are painting a different picture. There's growing chatter that he's got a bit of a diva reputation. Doesn't care about building relationships, only about competing. And hey, that's fine, but it gives off some serious Jay Cutler vibes, and we've seen how that movie plays out. At the end of the day, we might look back, maybe even 5 years from now, and say it clearly. The Broncos stole the draft. Bo Nix might just be the biggest value pick of the class.